Good evening. Hello. I'm Charles Lebont, and welcome to this director's commentary of the much-loved classic, I Married Joan. I had the pleasure of directing this, what I would consider the pinnacle episode of this fine programme, during my third divorce to my first wife. And I said to the lawyer how ironic it was, but he didn't consider it appropriate in court, so we quickly moved on. What a lovely opening that was. Honestly, I wanted something by Wagner, but that got shot down by the producer. He's dead now. What a great choice he made.
Kind of nice if you wrote my folks a letter asking them to stay with us for a while so they can look around for a house.
And here we had the great Jim Backus doing what he does best, talking to thin air. And of course, many people at the time didn't realise that Jim doesn't even know Joan isn't in the scene. But we thought best leave him be. I insisted on keeping the cameras rolling, because I told him, Lebont doesn't mess about. Tee-off was in 2 hours.
Dad is ready to retire. He wants to come to California. Well, Johnny, after all, they are my parents.
But here comes Joan. We quickly had to shove her into the scene with a look of genuine surprise from Jim, seeing double, poor man. And Joan Davis absolutely insisted on wearing a red dress. We tried to tell her it would be black and white, but she wasn't having it. Mad cow. But that cabinet behind Jim, fine piece of plasterboard, had a hell of a time pulling that down, I can tell you. And the set dresser didn't really mind. Never worked again, but she was in high spirits throughout. And I actually bequeathed the cabinet to my stepson Lonnie. I say stepson, we just don't get along. And you'll see here Jim fumbling with the grapefruit. Just couldn't get his spoon in. Eventually we had to create a stunt grapefruit for the poor blighter, made from foam and asbestos, worked a treat.
Write them a letter and ask them to stay with us for a while.
Oh, honey, you are the sweetest. I tell you.
And Jim, completely unable to find Joan's lips for that kiss. 30 takes that took, and that was the best one. That's a nice shot. You've got Joan in the centre frame, writing. There's tension. You can tell there's tension. Storm in a teacup, as I like to call it. Because here it comes. Phone rings. Joan picks it up. And we're straight in there, full close-up. Bang! Textbook Lebont. And of course, with the audience full of tension, we can't keep them hanging. Lebont doesn't want another riot on his hands. Oh, God. Those poor buggers. So I thought, we need something absolutely vital to a woman that the censors won't kick off about.
Size 10, light blue, half price?
Bang! There it is. Women can't resist a cheap dress. The temptation of Joan will, of course, be her downfall. When the episode aired, I was asked if I was making allusions to the book of Genesis and Eve herself, God bless her. But no, it's purely coincidental. Great minds think alike.
Oh, no, I can leave a note for Joan. We can go.
Golly, you sure are anxious to go for a drive, Ed.
And again, you can see a woman writing. Second time in the episode. And of course, that was very experimental at the time. And our sex politics advisor, a man by the name of Dean Simpkins, really didn't like this idea. He would tell me on more than one occasion, Charles, the audience won't go for it. It's just too unbelievable. I had to agree with him. It was a gamble. But in the end, Lebont took the jackpot. You might say to yourself, why would we need a sex politics advisor? They only told me after we finished he was court mandated, which there's a lovely story behind that.
Anything about twin carburetors?
And this is where I do something quite clever. We have a blonde Joan in a dark dress, and we have the other one, dark hair, light dress. Classic symbolism. Yin and yang, good and evil. But which one's which? Whichever one's closest to ex-wife too. Horrible woman.
A boy like Tom, when he gets interested in a newer model, at least you'll know it's a car.
Now we have a classic two-shot. And we're not close up, because then the hands do the talking. And cutlery becomes the conversation. So we have conflict. The mouths say one thing, but the hands, they're fighting. And I have to thank Sammy Hall, our resident camera pusher. Medically blind, but he has a great eye for a scene. You can tell we're back and forth like a game of ping-pong. Thank you, Sammy. Get well soon. And this is where Joan's world comes crashing down around her. And I have to admit, I managed to get a fine performance out of myself for this scene. A great friend of mine, Alfred Hitchcock, told me he used this scene as inspiration for his Rear Window. Not the film, he was putting in Venetian blinds at the time. Oh, Joan's full of aggression. Easy, Joan, don't punch her. Again. Oh, there she goes! Everyone duck and cover! Ha ha! Woman on the warpath! Hide the plates! Slap her, she's hysterical! Ha ha! I joke, but she was a danger to herself and others. And Jim's about to enter the scene. Again, very experimental. 3 people on camera. Unthinkable! Unthinkable, they said. But Lebont got out the whip and managed to wrangle in those egos. Jim very skillful with that door. I once saw that door working on Broadway in a production of Les Miserables. Fabulous show. Made all the better because I could pat myself on the back. You made that door a star. Well done, Charles. Well done.